God damn it, my wife stole my champagne. How am I going to concentrate without a glass of champagne?
Mayor Beth and Chris, what are you guys drinking?
We are drinking a Maverick.
Nice. Where are you guys?
We are in Dewey Beach, Delaware.
Okay, so it's definitely past noon, so you're allowed to drink
It's
that.
3.
It's okay.
It's 3 in North Carolina, and we're going to open up a bottle of Gamet.
Nice.
Ah. Whoa. Gamet.
Yep. Everybody's drinking Gamet.
That, yeah, like, your family looks so good, Marianne. You know, you come clearer than anybody in the United States right now. It really is beautiful. And the Gamet sign behind is perfect.
Yeah, I did, but.
Does everybody see this picture? You guys that are joining us?
Yeah,
What do you think of that?
I want to be there.
So that's their daily car. They don't make much money in the champagne business. That's a 1924?
Yes.
Citroen?
What?
1924.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So it's got a few miles on it, and it was so cool when we drove up. When Joy and I first drove up, what was it, 2 years, 3 years now?
2 years.
2 years.
2 years?
2 years or 3? Anyway, so we drove up, and that was parked under a great big, like a, I don't know, a big, huge tree right in the front of the winery. And I just couldn't, I fell in love with it immediately. And then I didn't realize it was pulled up there so we could go drive around Champagne, Epernay, in that darn thing. Oh, it was so much fun. God, it was fun. And it went everywhere. The brakes on it were kind of like the brakes that you'd have in a, in a stagecoach, where you kind of pulled a lever and it squeezed the belt on the rear tires, I think. So the brakes weren't all that good, but boy, it just putted. And it was so much fun to see how it all, it's a totally different drive. It has 3, have your dad explain a little, he can explain to you the
Mechanism.
The mechanism.
3 pedals. It's because it's really fascinating. They didn't have synchronized gears back then, so you had to literally have them explain it. It's pretty cool.
So actually for this car, if you want to accelerate, the pedal is in the middle. It's not the classic way of driving, even if you are in States or in France. Yeah, so it makes the driving a bit special, actually.
And what is that planted on that picture? What are those vineyards?
So this vineyard is in Fleury-la-Rivière. So I don't know if are we waiting for other people or?
No, you can go ahead and start.
Let's start, yeah.
Okay. So first we say a big hello to everybody.
Hello.
And a first cheers of Champagne Gamet. First of all, cheers. Even if you drink Malbec or Champagne, cheers.
Claire.
Oui!
Hey.
Santé!
Santé, Claire. So for the vineyard which is behind the car, so it's one of our plot which is located in Fleury-la-Rivière. So we will explain you a bit how is located our vineyard, but before I will give you a bit of insights about the Champagne region and where we are located. So first of all, short introduction of the family. So you have the big boss, Philippe fucking Gamet. My father doesn't speak English, but if you have any question, for sure we will translate, and he will be the most technical person of the family. He knows everything.
Not everything.
And not everything she said. Then you have the other big boss, my mother, Fabienne.
I am Fabienne fucking Gamet.
Hello.
Hello.
And so my mother is also the big boss of the estate, and she's managing all the financial, the nightmare of the business. She's always there.
And the boss of Philippe.
Yes,
I would like to, but
it depends for what. And then my brother,
Hi.
Jean-François.
I'm Jean-François fucking Gamet. How are you guys?
And then so Marianne fucking Gamet, the daughter, the last one. Yeah. So that was the short introduction of the family. So now about who we are. So we are the Champagne Gamet. It's a family estate. So it's a family estate. We are located in a small village called Mardeuil. And Mardeuil, it's located in the Marne Valley. So I don't know if you know a bit of Champagne sectors, but the Champagne region is separate in 4 parts. The one which is really famous, the Côte des Blancs for the Chardonnay. Then you have the mountain of Reims, where you have mainly Pinot Noir, and which is located close to the biggest city in Champagne, Reims. And then you have the Marne Valley, where we are. And in this part of the Champagne region, it's mainly Meunier grapes, which is not really well known, but it's a very nice grapes, especially for pairing with gastronomic food and so on. And also we have a lot of Pinot Noir. And then you have the 4th part of Champagne region, which is located in the south of Champagne. It's the Aube. And actually they are located closer to Burgundy than to Champagne. So you can guess that the mentality and so on is completely different. But they also make great champagne, but mostly on Pinot Noir and completely different style. So here we are in the Marne Valley. So Marne Valley, as I said, it's mainly black grapes. So I don't know if you guys went in Champagne region, but so for the Marne Valley, the king of the valley is the Meunier. The Meunier is black grapes. It's not an easy grapes because it's kind of grapes that need special weather, not too hot, not too cold. And also in the Marne Valley, it's the part in Champagne with the wider soil diversity and also a lot of microclimates. So it's actually what makes the valley, the Marne Valley, very rich. It's because we have different soils, different microclimates. And it's also the hilliest part of the Champagne region. So if you come in Champagne region, almost everything is flat, except the Marne Valley, where you have like this, some slopes. And it's a very long valley with a lot of different soils, different type of champagne. So it's really, really rich. So that was for the insight about the Champagne, the Marne Valley in Champagne. About the terroir, where we are, it's mostly clay and limestone. And then it's also a bit of sandy soils. And then for the 3 villages where we are located, it's Mardeuil, Fleury-la-Rivière, and Damery. So I'm sure you won't be able to remember, but if you come in Champagne, we will show you how is it, and you will for sure remember the village where you went. So for the picture, it was in Fleury-la-Rivière. So it's important for the story of the family there. So just some key figures about our Champagne house. So we are a small Champagne estate, fully independent. We work especially with our vineyard. We don't buy, we don't sell any grapes. We work with we produce 80,000 bottles, and we work on a bit more than 8 hectares on different villages, the 3 villages that I told just before. So then I go on the story of the family and how we started to make champagne. So it started from both sides of my father and my mother. So from the side of my father, I will explain because in French you won't understand. So from the side of my father, they are from the left bank. So in Mardeuil, where the estate, the domain is located. So it started in the 20s. So the 20s, it was between the 2 Great War. It was the party, a lot of champagne. And it started with Gabriel Garnier-Triasson. So it was the grandfather of my grandfather, François Gamet. And in fact, he created his own company, started making champagne with his wife, and he was selling only to his friends and people he met during the World War. That's it. So very, very low quantity and a very small business. Then they had only one girl, a single girl, and she married to a Gamet. And in Champagne, people are very proud of their name. So when she married to a Gamet, the Champagne brand moved from Garnier-Triasson to Gamet. And it's actually how the Gamet started to make champagne. So then François Gamet was one of the child because there were 7, 6. Il y avait combien de frères et sœurs?
6. 6 enfants.
6. So that was a lot. You can imagine to split everything, all the legacy. Especially in France, you know, how is it complicated? And then my grandfather, François Gamet, he continued to make champagne. He was also a farmer working in cereal. And then he did the transmission to my father, Philippe Gamet. So it's how it started, how it goes on my father's side. And then I will let my mother explain how it was on her side.
Sorry, I need the paper. So, in fact, for my family, it started after the Second World War. The grandmother of my father, his name was Robert Huck. She owned few plots of vines. But at the beginning, my father started to work in a small estate in a village close to Fleury-la-Rivière, where I was born, the right bank of the Valley of Marne. Then he started also to buy some vineyards, and he was part of the founder of the cooperative of Fleury-la-Rivière, my village. After some years, he decided to leave the cooperative and to start his own business. He became récoltant manipulant, and he was making his own champagne and selling its own bottle. The name of the champagne was Champagne Robert Huck. Then about me, after my studies, I have worked in the public relations of a big label, Moët et Chandon, during 14 years. And after getting married with Philippe, after having our children, Philippe asked me to leave my job. It was a good job, without no worries, only a good job. And So I leave my job and we start together to build our own business, the Champagne Philippe Gamet.
Yeah.
That's it.
So, and that was in the 90s when they started. So my parents, they started in the 90s, and it's really at that time that the name Gamet started to get bigger in terms of image and in terms also of volume. Because before it was, honestly, before champagne, for all the independent champagne growers, it was very, very low quantity, like maybe 20,000 bottles. And then also because they joined their own legacy, and also my parents invested by their own, they succeed to create a bigger estate. And also, one thing that allows us also to be here is that my parents, they did a great work on the development of the export side to expand the brand to other countries. And so that's all we are here also today. And so for my part, I joined the company last year because before I was a student and traveling around the world and enjoying my life. And today I'm back enjoying my life in Champagne, and I still enjoy to come back in Napa for party with John and Joy. And then my brother Jeff is also involved in the company, helping us a lot on winemaking and into the vineyard. But I will let my brother explain what he did in the study and what he's doing today.
So
About
I studied oenology in Burgundy for 3 years, and then I joined the master of to be oenologue in Reims. And when I finished my study, I've been to different countries like USA. I worked in Oregon with wine. I worked in South Australia as well, and in Japan. I settled down like 1.5 years in Japan, and then I moved back to Europe, and I'm now working at the winery, helping my family. But I'm based in UK, in London, and I have some few projects, personal projects there. That's all about my life.
Are you making champagne in or are you making sparkling wine in England?
You take champagne in England?
Not yet.
No.
So would you, I don't know who wants to talk about this, but the reason, I think the main reason that this stuff is so good is that their vineyards that they have in Champagne are really exceptional vineyards, because where you are, your terroir, as Marianne is saying, is so important in Champagne. Where how you face the sun, whether you're north or east, whether versus south or west, makes a huge difference in flavors and all that kind of stuff. And they have put together about 20 acres is 15 hectares, 15, 16 hectares. How many? How many hectares?
In Champagne region?
Yeah, you have how many hectares?
It's about c'est des milliers.
30
30.
Altogether, 33,000 hectares in Champagne region. But Champagne region,
Hectare.
it's so the Marne Valley, but you have also L'Aube and Leyde.
How about you guys? How many hectares do you guys have?
8.
8 hectares.
8 hectares. So about 18, 19
acres.
Maybe 20 acres.
Oui, parce qu'il parle en...
Around 20 acres.
C'est ça?
Yeah.
20 acres.
So you have three locations?
Yes.
3 locations.
And just discuss a little bit each location, how it faces the sun and that each one.
Okay, so where our vineyard is located, so we are located on the left bank and the right bank of the Marne Valley. Then just to let you know, in the Marne Valley, you also have the West Marne Valley, you have the Great Marne Valley, Then you have the Terre de Condé. So you have different parts. We are in the left and the right bank of the Marne River, which is the river that crosses all the valley until Paris. And then this river goes into La Seine, which is the river, the big river of Paris. So for each side, actually the left bank has only sun during the morning and during the midday. In the afternoon and in the evening, usually it depends on your plot, which is what kind of location, but the sun exposition is very low. Then about the soils, they are very rich of stones, and they are more clay and limestone. Then about the grapes varieties that you can find, we have some Chardonnay there, Meunier and Pinot Noir. So the 3 grape varieties. Then if you go on the right bank, it's more special. In fact, the right bank is very, very a wide diversity of soils, a lot of sandy, clay and sandy soils, because before, like a million and million years in the past, there were the sea, a tropical sea in this part of the Champagne region. So if you go into the vineyard, you can still today find some shades. Actually, you have some if you want. Actually, my brother took some from the vineyard this week. So
Hills, yeah.
And so it's really special because this part, so as on the picture you saw before with the car, in this part of the vineyard.
That's
You guys,
in the vineyard?
That's in the vineyard.
You can, yeah, you can find this. So we don't need to go 3 days.
That's wonderful. Yeah.
That is really cool.
Et les racines vont sur les coquillages.
And so the roots of the vines, they goes inside, like they go until the shells, which also makes the shells going up on the soils. And really, it's really special because when you go there, when you find some shells where you are just into the vineyard working in your vines, and you are like if you want to go and see to go to the sea side from Champagne region, you have minimum 2-3 hours of car. It's a bit long. So that's what makes special the right bank. And also the right bank has a huge sun exposition. The soils are more complicated to work. They are poorer than the left bank, but they also bring a lot of characters, more typical Champagne than any other part of the Champagne region. So it's actually really interesting. And so actually what you are drinking, tasting right now with the Blanc de Noir, it's mainly grapes from the right bank. Yeah. So that's what makes the, actually it's majority of Meunier and Pinot Noir grapes. So that's what makes the roundness, the fruity, it's powerful, a lot of character. And it's a young wine, aged for 25-30 months, which is not a lot for Champagne. So that's really something typical from the Meunier and also from the right bank of the Marne Valley. Yeah.
So what we have, the Gamet that we have is mostly from the right bank, you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's 60 Pinot Meunier and 40 Pinot Noir?
Exactly. Yeah.
But also some vin de réserve.
Yeah, and also in Champagne. So in Champagne, we also work a lot with reserve wine. So Champagne is all about blending wine, blending between the harvest and the past wine from the past harvest. That's why in Champagne, we always talk about non-vintage and vintage. So a vintage represents only one vintage, one harvest. And a non-vintage is a blend of reserve wines and the wine of the years. And actually in Champagne, it also makes Champagne so great. It's because by blending with the past years, we bring the past to the present, and it brings a lot of character, a lot of structure to our wine. So if we compare with other sparkling wine, it will be always more full-bodied, more characterful, and so on. Yeah, and you can also feel, yeah, always here. Yeah. We say when you feel here, it's a champagne that makes styling.
You experimenting with any new ideas, you guys? Maybe you were talking about some barrel fermentation when we were there. Maybe some different ways of influencing the mouth, making it even more rich, more exciting.
So in Champagne, in fact in Champagne it's a bit funny because we currently nowadays we come back to the traditional way of making champagne. When I say that, we always make it in tradition, but in fact at the time of our grandparents with Jeff, they were working with oak barrel mainly. Then when it comes to the generation of my parents, it was the time when they created the stainless steel vats. So that was the revolution. So everybody bought this. Everybody, which makes a very fresh champagne, which is great. But today it's actually really funny because in Champagne, more and more, and it's also our situation, people are buying new barrels and new oak barrel, and we start to work again with this type of barrel of continent. Yeah. So, and why choosing to work with oak barrel? It's because simply it's a different way of making champagne. It brings a completely different style, but it's interesting to have in our range something more on the freshness and something more brut, we say in French. Brut, it means more about the nature, about something that we share with another materials, and the champagne will be in contact with the wood, so it would make it would bring new flavors. Yeah. So yeah,
So have your experiments turned out to be positive so far? Do you like what's happening? Because we would like to be the first client that you have if you've got a new Gamet that you want to try. We would love to try something that's not traditional.
Do you guys make
kind of our style?
Do you guys make a vintage champagne?
Yes.
Only vintage.
So we have a vintage champagne. The current one is 2013, but then we have a collection of vintage from the past, but it's very, very low quantity. So we like just keep it for when we have visitors or when we have events and so on.
So save some for whenever we come next year.
Yes, exactly. But we don't sell them. It's like the family cellar. And then, so we have the vintage 2013. It's not an old vintage, but because we are small, it's really difficult for us to release a vintage for a longer time. And then for the oak barrels, we have the character, which is our iconic label, where in fact we blend reserve wines together. 80% of the blend is coming from only reserve wines since 1999. So it's all champagne, all wine vinified and aged in oak barrel. So the complexity is great. And I say it's the most iconic because it's introduced all what my parents made in the past until today, which is really interesting in a bottle. Yeah.
We tried the champagne that she's talking about when she was here, and it was actually our favorite. And we should be getting some stateside. with the Caldwell and characters, and it's going to be $85. If you guys are interested, you can just email us. And then there's another one called Cuvée 5. It used to be called Cuvée 5000.
Yeah.
And you changed the name.
Yes, we changed the name, and now it's the left bank. So in French, it's rive gauche.
I like that.
So it's a bit like in Bordeaux or in Paris and so on, but it's just
Lyon.
or Bordeaux as well. But it's just because in the Marne Valley we have the left and right bank, and in fact the left bank cuvée, the rive gauche, it's actually only grapes coming from the left bank. It's a blend of the left bank. It's very mineral and the floral, very light, thin bubble. So it's something very interesting. Yeah.
We're also going to bring some of that, and that one's a bargain of $60. That's it. So if you guys are interested.
Only $60.
Yeah, Caldwell, you're going to business.
Yeah. And then I just want to follow, because with Jeff, the whole family, but in 2018, it was our first harvest with the whole family, and it was a great harvest. And in fact, we started to vinify a bit differently. So the range that we have currently will stay, but we also created new labels that will come in the future. And in fact, I will let you explain, but I told you before that in Champagne, the blend is very important, and it's part of the story of Champagne. But we also made single vineyard labels, single vineyard cuvée. I'll let you explain.
Yeah, I want to explain your new ideas, or I guess they're your ideas.
We made two new cuvées. One is a 100% Pinot Noir. The other one is a 100% Pinot Meunier. And it's two different vineyards. They are both really old vineyards. They are 55 years old vineyard. And the grapes were really concentrated. The juice were really nice. And we have decided to choose this plot to make these two cuvées. And we are going to do vintage them. And let's see. They have been vinified in oak barrels in the traditional way, and it's a natural yeast, batonnage, a really classic way of making wine. Yeah, we are going to taste them tomorrow, but they will be on the. Maybe we are going to keep them a few years before to sell these bottles.
Yeah. So in fact, the idea in the harvest 2018, because it was a great harvest. So I told you the blend in Champagne is very important, but it was also important to us to make single vineyard, a vintage made in oak barrel, and with only one grapes. Because today what happened, yeah.
Only one grape.
Yeah.
Only one variety.
Yeah, so it's really new world style, I know, but in fact it's for tourism, in terms of education, because it's really great for people to have a Champagne. It's only Pinot Noir, only one vintage, only single plot. It will allow people to understand what is a Pinot Noir or a Meunier, separate bottle, what are the typical flavors inside. And also then it's for us, because by doing single vineyard label, cuvée, it will allow us to understand what are the particularities of this plot, what it makes when it comes to Champagne. Because you know, in every January we taste all our wine. At that time, it can be already a bit blended of a different plot. But all the oak barrels, it's single vineyard. So we taste all the barrel, all the vats. But the thing is that when it's wine, you are not sure how it will be in Champagne, because when you get the second fermentation, it can be completely different. So here it's also project that we made with Jeff to have something more special to educate people, and also for us to see how the float they react in a bottle.
Excellent. So the winemaker is your brother or your dad?
It's but it's 60-40. 60%.
And who has a better palate?
Who has a better palate?
You're looking at your brother.
Who knows?
Who knows? Who has a better palate? It's I think we can say you have the experience and the new dynamic ideas and all the new project innovation and so on.
Do you guys make any non-sparkling wines from your grapes?
So we do. We are doing red wine, but we don't sell it. It's for the blend of the champagne rosé.
Oh, so you just make it and then you add it to the champagne to turn the color.
Yes, because in Champagne, it's really weird, I know, but in Champagne, we are the only region in France allowed to do this. We make a red wine, we make red, and we make white wine. And then when it comes to make the blend for the future champagne, we add some red wine to the white wine, just like a syrup and water. And then we control the color. We control like what we want kind of taste. If we want something more tannic, more, we say charpenté. I don't know in English how we say that. More bodyful, or and we just control like more some flavors and the color. That's it. And then it becomes a champagne rosé. And then you have another way to make rosé, which is more traditional. It's a rosé of Seigné that we are doing as well. It's actually the baby of my father. He loves to do this. So in fact, dis que c'est ton bébé. In fact, for the rosé of Seigné, it's a maceration of grapes. And the idea is like with tea, it's to get the infusion of with the skin contact of the grapes, to extract all the tannins, all the flavors from the grapes, and it gets like directly we get all the juice from the maceration by gravity, and then it directly goes on the fermentation, and there is no mixing with white and red and so on.
No collage,
no filtration, no
collage.
Je sais pas comment dire. No?
No, not finding. It's a free range juice wine on.
Not.
Yeah. So that's the two way of making rosé in Champagne, actually. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So, should we have a Society of Smugglers group arrive when you are doing your tastings in January? You know, when you're tasting your vintage.
We should.
We could probably put together 10 or 15 couples that would love to come and experience.
One question: how is the society big? Like, is it very, very big? Because over there,
Well, we would
drink all the wine. I don't know how we will do then.
we would drink your whole cellar, of course. So we have to limit it to only maybe 10 or 15 couples, something like that.
Maybe the ones that are on this Zoom.
Maybe on the Zoom.
Yeah.
Oh,
So you guys get first dibs if you guys want to go. Yeah. So,
that'd be so much fun.
so we're gonna open it up to questions. If you guys have questions, the little hand raise doesn't work. So if you guys just like in class, raise your hand if you want to ask a question. But before we do that, I want to introduce, of course, the whole marriage between Gamet and Caldwell would not have happened without Gamet and Caldwell agreeing. But if you see, there's Claire right there, one of the people right there. She is pretty much the glue that made it all happen. She's the one that connected everybody, the Caldwells to the Gamet. So if it wasn't for her, I don't think none of this would have happened to begin with.
You want to give her a hand? Oh, well, that's so.
So if you guys have any questions for the Gamets or for JFC, raise your hand and we'll unmute you. Oh, okay, guys, slow down. Not so many questions.
Who wants to do first? Pick one.
Jenna. No, Jenna's just clapping.
Nah, she's clapping. Okay.
Okay, Patrick. Give me 1 second.
Unmute.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
All right. I was just wondering if they do, I couldn't tell from the conversation, do they do much with Chardonnay at all, or is it all Pinot Noir and Meunier?
So we have only one plot planted in Chardonnay. So this plot is located in Mardeuil, and we use it for the left bank and also a bit for the vintage. Yeah, that's it. Where we are, it's mainly Meunier and Pinot Noir. Yeah.
Excellent. I think when you came to, you brought us a couple of champagnes. I think my favorite was the one that you had, I think, the largest amount of Chardonnay in it.
Yeah,
from
so it was the left bank, yeah.
Yeah, is that the Cuvée 5000?
Yes.
Yes, that was delicious.
Yeah.
I believe Meredith has a question next.
Okay.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right.
Ah,
Hey, this is Quigley Fine Wines representing over here. We've got Beth and Danielle too, and we've got Georgia in the back room.
oh.
But I'm happy to be here. Hello, everyone. But my question, first to John, because how we tell your story might be different from how you tell it. But were you really strip searched?
He still has nightmares, so that should tell you something.
What did she ask?
Did you really get strip searched? Did they really? They really go?
Well, you know, my whole life might be changed had I gotten the real. You know, hell, I could get up. No, he was a pretty straight guy. I mean, well, yes, I was stripped. I was, you know, all the way down to the, you know, I joke with Mario that for about 30 minutes, I was Caitlyn Jenner. Yeah, I mean, everything just went, I mean, there wasn't anything even showing. It was, but it came back. It did come back.
Okay. Okay. We love. What's your question? So my question for the producers, well, again, for you guys, how is it 2 different wines, 2 different champagnes that you're carrying from Gamet?
They have quite a few different blends.
Well, so right now,
you guys will be carrying.
so right now we're only carrying one. They're non-vintage.
Yeah.
And the ones that I mentioned earlier, the
5,000.
the characters and which used to be, I keep calling it Cuvée 5000, but you guys changed the name, the right bank. We should have those stateside. Claire, when can we have those stateside? 2 months?
Yeah, I mean, we could do it probably like 2 to 3 months. 2 months. We could do 2 months probably.
Okay, so if you guys are interested, just let us know. And pricing again for the right bank will be $60, and the characters will be $85.
Okay. Okay. And how many different, for the actual producers over in France, how many different wines or champagnes rather do you produce as a whole? Like what's production size wise? I know obviously you talked about hectares, you're about 8 hectares total, but as far as production of your wines total.
Did you get that, Marianne?
Yeah, almost. So total production is 80,000 bottles, which makes I know you
So
speak in
what she wants to know is how many different wines you make normally
range.
every year.
So we have 6 different wine champagne in the range.
And so 6 different wines, 80,000 bottles total.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's small.
Yeah. And in fact, so we have 6 different wines. So we have the left bank with the 3 grape varieties. Then we have the Blanc de Noir from the right bank, the one that Caldwell is carrying. Then we have the character, the iconic label made with reserve wines since 1999 from oak barrels. Then we have the vintage 2013. And then we have the two kind of rosé, the champagne rosé, the classic one by blend as the most common, not the classic one, but the most common in Champagne. And then we have the rosé by maceration. Yeah.
All right, can't wait to taste them. Thank you.
Our next question is from Allison.
Hey guys, how are you? I'm very lucky because I have 4 bottles of this somewhere across the United States heading to my house in the next day or so. So I'm so excited
I think you're supposed to get them today.
Am I?
I'm pretty sure, yes.
Yay!
Everything's taking so long because of COVID. We have to go through 3-party shippers, so apologize the delay, but you'll
No
get
worries. No worries. I'm excited for them to arrive. But my question is, I tend to plow through my Caldwell wines quickly because they're fabulous. But what's your recommendation on this particular bottle? And should I lay a couple of them down for some time? How do you think they'll age? What do you recommend as far as drinking some versus laying them down?
Are you talking about the Gamet you're getting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's a tough call.
Go ahead, Marianne, you can answer that.
Okay, so for us, there is the question of when you should drink the champagne, the time of conservation. Actually, it's very personal because first of all, as we work mainly with Meunier grapes, the Meunier grapes, it's grapes that you can actually enjoy it for 5-6 years easily, but it will actually involve very quickly within the bottles. So it means that it will goes on fruitier, more roundness within the bottles, a bit of not of oxidation, but actually what I say it depends of your personal taste, because for example in France, when you are getting used of drinking champagne, you start to like the note of oxidation because it's actually different notes with oxidation notes. It's about comment on peut dire la noix comment on dit? Walnut flavors, these kind of things. And actually when you go into the oxidation side, so for example if you keep this bottle for 7 years, you will start to get oxidation. But if you like making champagne pairing with gastronomy, it works very well. While if you drink the champagne like just right now, you will still have the thin bubbles, more freshness on the palate and so on. So I think it's really personal. So if you like, if you are curious, if I were you, I will always keep a bottle in the cellar for 1 more year, 2 years more. Actually, we have some clients, they are doing this. They buy some bottles and they keep on the side part of the champagne bottles for more 1 year, 2 years more. And then for sure they rebuy new bottles and then they taste. Because really champagne is involving a lot within a year, but it depends of your taste. For us, I would say we definitely prefer a champagne that ages for a longer time, but then it's a reason of taste. Yeah.
Awesome. I don't know if I can wait 7 years on one, but maybe I'll lay one down for a year or two, but I'll enjoy the rest of them now. Thank you.
Does it go away with time?
Yeah, my mother is saying for
7 years for us it's too long. We can't wait.
So what's your ideal time? I'm drinking the Gamet, which is what year was this bottle?
What vintages were these?
What year was this bottle? I forgot.
So the one you have, the base, the year of the harvest was 2016.
Okay, so it's It's only 4. Huh? So
So, yeah.
not even 4 years old. Well, it drinks like an older champagne. I mean, it has the richness. It has a little yeastiness, a little fromage in there. I mean, there's a lot of nice character, and that's not even 4 years old.
Yeah.
So my suggestion would be don't fucking wait. I mean, geez,
Yeah, that's
does it get much better than this? This is really good shit. I mean, it's really
Yeah, the bottle that I had, I think I drank it in September. The bottle I brought home from when I visited Caldwell in the summer, it was perfection. I actually drank it with my college roommate. I was visiting her in Chicago, and she loves her bubbles, guys, and she said it was the best champagne she's ever had.
Oh,
Oh, right.
that's wonderful. That's cool. Well, hey, you French guys, you're doing okay. Cheapers.
Sorry?
We Americans like your stuff.
Yeah.
Our next question is from Patrick.
Ah,
And I'm
Hey.
working to unmute you. There you go.
I unmuted. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
So my next question, my first comment is just buy a case or 2, and then you can drink plenty now and lay down
that's
if you
true.
buy.
Yes,
You have
that's
to
what
buy
you
more
should
than,
do.
yeah, you have to buy some. Yeah, lay it down.
Easy, but easy to say, right?
Easy to
But my question, since my wife Robin loves rosé, loves Joy, and she wants to know if we're going to see a rosé champagne from Caldwell through.
Oh, that's what Allison asked too. I mean, if they're willing to send us some samples, we can pick one.
Well, we got Jeffer over there. He might be, the guy to do a rosé. And man, oh man, rosé sells here in the States. People like that stuff. So, I mean, we might fly over and help you taste it. I mean, I wouldn't mind doing that.
No, I wouldn't mind either.
You would mind going over just.
Your liver's pickled, so it don't matter.
It'd be kind of fun. Have you guys ever done a really dealy rosé? You've done some rosé, right? Marianne, you've done rosé.
Have you? Did you bring a rosé last time you were here?
Let me remember. I'm not sure.
No, I don't think you did.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember, but I'm not sure we tasted a rosé.
No, Claire is saying that we didn't do it.
So,
No.
Jeff, do you have a rosé that
we have to
the Americans might like? What do you think, Jeff?
Jeff,
Yeah,
est-ce que les Américains aiment le rosé?
I think so.
Actually, I don't know the conception of rosé champagne in USA, but yeah, we can.
Maybe you can make something special for a Caldwell blend.
Now you know what my wife's favorite rosé is Biacart. So if you can do something,
Because they are not far from us.
come on.
So
What the fuck? Try it.
When our plot is there, 20 meters, Biacart.
Oh, you're that close to them?
Well,
Yeah,
come on. Let's
the
try it.
biggest plot of our vineyard is very, very close to Biacart. So I'm sure we can do the same rosé with it.
Well, your non-vintage, the one we carry, is definitely better than the Biacart Blanc de Blanc that they sell for like $16 here. I think yours is a lot better.
$80 for the Blanc de Blanc, isn't it? Can you get it?
It's too expensive. Anyway, but so if you can make a rosé with that quality, it would definitely be better than the Biacart rosé.
Yeah, but then it's also a beautiful house, and they work well. But it's different. They are bigger, completely different.
Yeah,
They're a little bit bigger than you are.
Yeah.
I do like the Biacart rosé though. Just so you know, I really love. I mean, it's always one of my favorites.
Can anybody find your
Change your mind.
your champagnes in the U.S. other than Caldwell?
Sorry?
Can anybody find Gamet in the U.S. other than Caldwell private label?
Actually, no.
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 Wow.
Actually, you are, guys, the only one. If,
We're the
if
pusher.
people want to drink Gamet, for the moment, you are the only one. Go, go, go.
Yeah.
Well, you know, if things get tough, I'll go down the
Or
corner.
then they have to come in France.
Yeah.
Well, I think you know, this is so damn much fun having your family there that we could do this more often. I didn't know it turned out so much fun. Are you guys having any fun with this thing?
With what?
Isn't it kind of fun? This is the real deal, you know. It's kind of cool.
It's really, really fun, actually.
So what time is it in US?
It's about
About 1 o'clock.
Well, we're in California, so it's almost 1 o'clock. Mary Liz is in Florida,
You're 4.
so she's 4 o'clock.
You're 4.
She's almost ready to start drinking. Allison's in Kentucky, so that's 2 hours behind us. Patrick is in North Carolina, so that's 3 hours behind us. Kevin is in Alabama, so that's 2 or 3 hours behind us. 2 hours.
But Kev's already started. I mean, he's, you know, he doesn't have to look at the clock down there.
Yeah.
In Alabama, for God's sake. So, Kevin, are you got any questions?
If we have any question.
Kevin, I just want to know, he's sitting there enjoying this whole thing. I thought maybe he might have a question or two.
I think, John, this has been amazing to have you introduce champagne in your portfolio. I mean, that's one of our favorites, so we really enjoy it. And thank you very much for being part of this video chat. It's been a great experience.
God, thank you for coming on. This is I feel like it's a goddamn tasting at Caldwell, for God's sake. It's fun. It's fun.
It's really fun, yeah.
How come
you guys double thumbs up on the rosé champagne, though? That would be awesome.
Wouldn't that be cool? Yeah,
That would be
yeah.
awesome.
All right. So, hey, Jeff.
Rosé. We need to try some of your rosé so we can sell them.
Rosé. Make us 50 cases, 100 cases. No big, you know, just a little.
Just so you guys know, my job was on the line when we signed up to do this champagne project.
He loves champagne.
Because Joy and I,
freaking
actually
loves
mostly
champagne.
Joy was very bullish on the amount of cases we're going to buy. Originally, we said maybe 100, maybe 150, and it turned out to be a lot more than that.
I don't want to talk about that.
So I told John, I said, if we don't get rid of 80% of this by this time next year, you can fire me. So thank you guys for buying the damn champagne. I can keep my job for another year. Oh, look.
My rosé.
Hey. Oh.
They are the rosé. And
Hey,
you
what's
can
the
see.
difference between the two?
So this one is a rosé by blending. So we blend the red and the white. So you can see the color is lighter.
Yep.
And this one is the rosé of Saignée. So it's already the night here, but it's
Oh, I want to try that. Yeah.
ruby color. So it's a maceration of grapes.
Oh, I'd like to try that.
That's our two rosé.
We'll talk to Claire and see what we can do here. That might be really kind of fun. Claire, where is our Claire?
Claire,
No,
there she is.
Oh, she had to go get a glass of champagne.
What are you thinking, Claire?
I had to fill up my glass. It was empty. So
Yeah.
So, what's the south of France like, Claire? What's the weather like now in the south?
right now, actually, it's terrible. It's not very nice. That's upside down. The northern part is really nice and sunny, but the south is really, really crappy. So I just drink champagne.
So you have to drink more. That's
Yeah.
So tell your story quickly to the group here about how you got trapped in France.
Well, actually, what happened is I arrived in France at the end of February because we had some meeting with John and Joy in March to meet the Gamet and to do a wine tour in Champagne. But because of the situation, we John and Joy had to cancel, of course, and I think that was the best thing they had to do to cancel the
Oh,
trip.
we would still be there.
Yeah, probably. That's what happened to me.
All right. Well, we could have holed up at your place down in the south for God's sake.
Yeah, you could have stayed with me here. Yeah. So, and we were supposed to go back to the US at the end of March, but our ticket got canceled, and then they pushed it a little, and we were supposed to go back, but going through London. And at the time, there was no sanitary restriction done in London, so we didn't want to go through that airport. And we were supposed to go from Barcelona to London, from London to LAX. It was just way too much, so we just decided to stay.
Now, aren't your kids here in LA?
Excuse me?
Don't you have family in LA right now that you haven't seen?
My 2 daughters, yes.
Okay.
So yeah, so it was a very hard decision to make. Either we would stay here or go back. But to us, it felt a little too scary to go through airports, and traveling at that time was not really. My husband has a lot to do here for his job. He's working on motorcycles, so he has a lot of work to do here. So that's why we decided to stay. But I have no clue when we'll be able to go back, because right now there's no planes.
Yeah.
So I'm stuck here, but
Not too
life's
bad.
still good.
Not too bad. Yeah.
Not too bad.
Not too bad. Yeah, I've been stuck in this cheese barn here now for, I don't know, 2 months. Joy took the keys to my car, so I couldn't leave because I'm old. See, I could get this shit and die. And so she is making sure I can't even get to my car. I couldn't get it smogged. Now it's going to be beyond the, not to pay fine, and but what the fuck?
This is what the Corona antivirus looks like.
John, I have something to say.
I got the antivirus. Yeah.
The glass of joy is empty.
It is empty.
I know, all of our glasses are empty.
Oh, no.
We destroyed a bottle of Gamet. We thought it was gonna. We didn't think we were gonna drink, and it's been gone for.
I can't stop drinking this shit. No, the other night after one of these things, there was 3/4 of a bottle because he just had a little sip, and I drank the whole bottle. You can't drink. You have to drink it.
Good thing he has a breathalyzer in his car. I was gonna drive home, and then I blew it. I was a .10, so I took a new breath.
Yeah, we can't take gambles like that.
Don't ask what John was blowing that night. I think he broke the.
You know what?
The thing.
Do you guys have breathalyzers in France? Breathalyzer, where you go.
Like if you drive, you
and
blow
you look at it and you go.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
And we are supposed to be to get more freedom after the 11th of May.
Yes.
And after that, people in France, they will be all drunk. And I'm sure we will all lose our driving
Your
license.
license. Yeah.
Like people, they will be all drunk on the road. It will be crazy.
That's so cute.
Yeah. But usually we don't drive when we are drunk. We take a taxi.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, but you have to in France because the police is everywhere.
Oh, look, we found another one.
Oh. Great. And so, John, I have a question. Your guy who is making barrel, did he came in France to make the barrel? Because it's supposed to be at that time, no?
Yeah, he was just there, and he was able to get out at the end of March. He's Mexican, so he had a little family thing in Mexico. So he flew from Paris to Guadalajara, and he got out. Now you can get a pretty cheap flight from Guadalajara to like $89 or some goddamn thing. Oh, it's fabulous.
Yeah.
But you know, we have tequila there in Mexico right now.
Yeah.
And I can't get down there to bottle it. And it's ready to bottle it. We could go down and bottle it.
Yeah,
Oh, well, what the hell? What are you going to do? You know, you can sit around and drink champagne, wonderful champagne. Does life get any better than this? I mean, come on. You guys, is it getting any better? Well, it doesn't get any better than this.
You know what's crazy, Marianne? How much this has changed from when we first got it in a year ago? It was really clean and crisp. Now it's getting like that oxidation, more of a vintage style champagne. It is delicious.
For me, that's why the Meunier is great, because it's a grape that involves a lot, and it really it changed a lot, and it offers different expression, different style, and also it's with Meunier grapes. What is amazing is that you can get it for an aperitif, or with gastronomic food, or even with a burger. This with a burger, it would be perfect. So it's really easy to pair with anything you want. While if you have more like Pinot Noir or Chardonnay, you are more on the acidity.
Yeah.
So acidity is something that we love in Champagne region, but sometimes you can't pair with everything. You need the roundness to have a well-balanced champagne. And the Pinot Noir sometimes is very, very strong for the champagne, and you need some years to wait for like drinking it and enjoying. Yeah.
Can you recommend any good cocktails you can make off of your champagne?
So cocktails, it's difficult for champagne. Honestly,
I would not recommend.
Like I don't know in US, but in France, we start to have the mixology scene and so on. It starts a lot.
That's for cheap champagne.
That's for cheap champagne, but even if you like, me personally, I love cocktail, but like cocktail made like with where mixologues, they do their own infusion, own maceration, and so on. But champagne is really difficult because it's a lot of acidity. You have some sugar sometimes already in it. To balance, you have also the fruit, and like in a cocktail you need to balance the flavors, and champagne you already have a mix of a lot of flavors, and mixing like trying to find a well-balanced cocktail with a lot of acidity, fruit, and sugar, for me it's really difficult. Like personally, I have no cocktail that I like with sparkling, like even if it's a champagne or any sparkling wine. It's really, really difficult.
Hey, Patrick has a question for you about global warming.
Global warming.
Go ahead, Patrick.
Is global warming affecting champagne?
We hear it's starting to affect Napa Valley and the plans in Napa Valley for the future. Is it going to affect Burgundy and Champagne?
It will. So yes, and yes. I will say. Oui, d'accord. Yes, definitely it affects, but then we'll say it depends for which part of the Champagne region. I think where we are in the Marne Valley, we will be the lucky one of the Champagne region, because we work with black grapes that need sun. We need to have a very hot summer to have a concentration in our grapes. So actually, if I take the example of what you know about Champagne, I'm sure that 10 years ago you didn't know nothing about the Marne Valley. And correct. What happened is that the Marne Valley started to be well known because we are making better and better champagne. And why? Because of the global warming. So I don't say that it's good, but for our region, the grapes they enjoy the degree that the hotter summer that we have actually. So let's see how it goes. because if we have a too hot summer, for example, last year we had. Sorry.
When did you pick last year?
So last year our vineyard we always so it's majority Meunier grapes. The Meunier they like sunshine, they like the hot weather. But when we picked
in the middle of September.
Yeah.
But I have to say something. When my mother was harvesting, she was harvesting end of September, beginning of October. Sometimes also they were doing the harvest in October with some snow in the vineyards.
On the right bank? On the right bank or the left bank? Was that on the right bank or the left bank?
Right bank.
Right bank.
It was during, I don't know, 1950, for example.
Yes.
The date. And when I started to work with Philippe, the harvest, we're doing the harvest in the middle of September, end of September. And for example, this year, we will do the harvest probably in the middle of August or end of August maximum. So you can see that there is a great change due to the global warming.
Yes. Now, if you guys could not drink your own champagne, what's your favorite champagne to drink outside of Gamet?
C'est quoi ton champagne préféré outside of Gamet?
I like Vouette Sorbet. I like Vouette Sorbet champagnes.
C'est où?
It's in south of Champagne, Aube. Aube.
I don't think I've seen that here in the States.
How do you spell it?
Vouette Sorbet.
How do you spell it?
Yeah.
Comment tu l'appelles?
V-O-U-T. Sorbet, S-O-R-B-E-T.
It's a small wine grower.
Yeah, it's a small grower champagne.
Small grower. Okay.
Then, toi, maman?
For me, I like the Souza.
Oh,
Champagne de Souza. Champagne de Souza.
yeah, you can. I think you can find that here in the States.
Probably.
I like the Souza because it's a champagne of the Côte des Blancs, and we are not used to drink some Blanc de Blanc, so I like to drink champagne from the Côte des Blancs.
Awesome.
Papa, c'est quoi ton champagne?
Yeah.
Je ne connais que le Gamet.
My mother said, I know only the champagne Gamet.
Well, when you make it so good, why you want to drink?
How about you, Marianne? Which one do you like outside of Gamet?
So me, I love, it's difficult, but I love I would say it's more specific champagne. I have even the label is the champagne Henri Giraud, but I love the label Code Noir. It's a 100% Pinot Noir champagne.
Okay. 100% Pinot Noir.
Yeah.
Oh, and
It's Henri Giraud. They are in the Vallée de la Marne, the Marne Valley as well. But in the Great Valley of the Marne, so it's in the east of the Marne Valley.
So how is Jeff doing with his experiments with 100%?
So with the 100% Pinot Noir, maybe we will.
Who knows, huh?
Yeah, who knows? We probably do.
I
great.
love it.
Hey, I have a question for you guys. There's an article I read at the end of last year where it said that the world could not, or champagne could not fulfill the demand of champagne for the rest of the world. So they were looking to expand the Champagne region. Is that true?
So they were speaking about it, but that was a project when the champagne was making more than 300 1,000 million bottles.
Yes. Yes.
While last year we did less. While in Champagne it was crazy at the end of the year because every champagne growers or the big houses, they were selling containers to USA, to UK because of for USA with the tax on the champagne, for UK because of the Brexit. So people, they were all afraid. So they sent a lot of champagne abroad. And even with this, we did less than 300 million. So for sure, this project is completely out, especially with the current situation we have in France. Because for this year, people, please buy champagne because for this year it will be a nightmare for champagne. Honestly,
champagne, but also all the wines.
For all the wines, but for all the wines in France or also in other countries, that's for sure. The thing is that champagne, when you talk about champagne, usually you talk about celebration, and at that time, unfortunately, people, they have nothing to celebrate unless people that really love champagne. But people, they are not interested as we are about champagne. So for sure this year it will be a difficult year, and this project, I can tell you, Mario, it's out. They won't. And what actually they are doing it's just that in Champagne there were some plots that were just champagne appellation for a kind of experimentation, and they changed this plot. They canceled the appellation at this part of the Champagne region, and they just move on another part. So it can be for experimentation or just to offer the opportunity of some village to get more surface and so on. But it's not a lot, and it won't be, the demand actually is not that big.
Okay. Real quick, if you guys could, do you have a little a chat box on your screen? Because Allison's asking if you guys can spell out the name of the champagnes that you named as your favorites. Because we're Americans and we're going to butcher the name.
100%.
Wet. So that was, ça s'écrit comme ça, wet.
V-O-U-E-2-T.
Ouais.
Et sort B-S-O-R-B-E-T.
Ouais. Maman, c'est ça. Mamie, it's champagne.
De Souza.
Champagne de Souza. Father.
Champagne Gamet.
Your dad's going to put Gamet and put a link to your winery.
Philippe.
Link to the rosé.
Yeah.
And then Henri Giraud. Col Noir. Yeah, got it.
Excellent. So if you guys have any further questions, you can raise your hand and ask, or
This is the time.
this is the time to ask. If not, we'd like to thank the Gamets for joining us on this Zoom experience. It's our first Zoom experience.
It was the first Zoom experience for us.
Yeah.
Mary Liz, did you enjoy it?
Thank you.
I had so much fun.
Did you learn anything?
I learned a lot. Yeah. I was actually going to ask one question, if you don't mind.
Come on.
Please.
When you, Marianne, and the family were down at Caldwell, what did you think? What's the difference between their vineyard and the other vineyards that you see?
When
only Marianne was there.
Oh, okay, Marianne. Yeah, when you visited Caldwell in Napa Valley, what did you think?
So so it was honestly when I arrived in Napa, I don't remember how many hours or no, but it was when I arrived in Napa, it was crazy because I arrived by plane, then for many hours, then I rent a car It was the first time I was renting a car abroad. So I was like, oh, okay. Then I was looking for the winery. Then I arrived at the winery and there were big portals. So I was like, okay, where I go? I just press a button. I don't remember which one. Then I go straight. And in fact, I directly arrived at the winery. It was just amazing. I was alone. Actually, I entered into the winery. There are really, everybody can enter in the Caldwell Vineyard. And then the French girl, I arrived like this, and I opened the door. I was in the shade where all the oak barrels are and so on. I was like, is there somebody here? Then I called Joy and I was, I'm here. Where are you? I don't know. Even like it was honestly a crazy time, and the vineyard, all the vineyard I saw, it was really, really nice. And I was saying that the Mount Valley is the hilliest part of Champagne region.
Yeah.
But Napa, it's just crazy. Like the landscape are beautiful. It's completely different from France. You have nowhere in France where you can find this, definitely. But it was amazing.
Hey, Marianne, why don't you do that thing you did here, where you took a sip of champagne and done?
I can't do it.
This is how we do it in Champagne.
So watch you guys. Are you gonna do it? Are you gonna do it?
No. If
Your mom is saying no.
my mother, she will tell me, the side and so on. No, I can't. But if you want to try it home, it's easy. So you just take a sip of champagne, then you hold the sip in your mouth, you wait, you go in front of somebody you love, and you just make, and you will see a effervescence of champagne.
And good thing you didn't love anybody here.
Sorry?
I said, good thing you didn't love anybody here. Everybody.
Then it's my poor laptop that I will hurt.
Yeah. We had such a good time spraying champagne in everybody's mouth.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, we savored champagne. So hopefully we'll see you guys. Well, I don't know if we're going to have one this year.
Hopefully, yeah.
We're not going to have one this year. No.
We're going to have to cancel our
we're going to drink Corona beer and lemon, on the top of the can, and salt. That's going to be our deal. Then I'll shake it up and I'll go.
That won't be the same effect, I'm sure.
Oh,
So that will be for next year.
It'll be for next year.
Next year.
Next year we'll have a really cool deal, and we might even have some rosé, Jeff. We might even maybe a little rosé. It's possible. Huh? Might even have something new to try next year for the group.
Definitely.
We could really create a real Gamet thing around our party. That's a lot of people come and they're all great wine drinkers. They love the experience. And then of course your sister, Jeff, everybody fell in love with her. They all wanted to take her home. But she had to go back to France. But Jeff should come next time though too, I think.
You all should come next time.
Well, the whole damn family. What the hell? We got the house right here.
If you have the whole family, it will be a big party. A big party.
We should do it.
Yeah, it's been such a great go. We're so happy with the product, and it sells so well. People love you, and Claire has been fabulous keeping this thing going. We're happy.
And it's happening thanks to all you guys that tuned in because of your support of the brand. So thank you very much for joining today, guys.
Thank you
to
awesome. You.
Kevin.
Thank you, everybody. It was a pleasure meeting you.
If you guys ever go to Champagne,
what the hell, Kevin?
Hit up the Gamet.
Yeah, we are waiting for all of you in Champagne. Huh?
Yes. Not at the same time though, right?
Well, you can come anytime.
Yes. Enjoy, guys. It was great seeing you.
Love and kisses from Caldwell.
Bye.
Joy and John. Joy's here.
Bye.
She's sneaking around. You know.
She's drinking all the champagne on the other side.
We will.
She loved your champagne.
The
Yeah.
party only begin.
Yeah. See you guys.
Au revoir.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Be safe.
What a great time. That's pretty fucking
Au revoir. Bye.